Hi, my name's Vince Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about The Edge of Destruction, the third Doctor Who story from season one of the original series, with William Hartnell as the Doctor. And this is a funny story. I didn't like it at all the first time I watched it. An Unearthly Child was a good story, great first episode, and the rest of the story is pretty good. Daleks was great, in every possible way. Then this little funny story comes along, just 2 episodes long, and with the entire crew of the TARDIS basically being, well, they are the only cast in this story, inside the TARDIS. And it turns out that this is a cost-cutting measure, something that David Whittaker, the writer, had to come up with to kind of bridge the gap and save money between the Daleks and Marco Polo. Perhaps the Daleks overrun the budget or something, maybe. Anyway, we have this odd 2-part story. And as I said, I didn't like it to begin with, but I've watched it a couple of times since, and it's really grown on me, actually. Basically, the story's about the Doctor and his companions. They have this kind of sudden, it appears to be some kind of crash the TARDIS has, and just straight at the end of the Daleks, the previous story. And they awaken and they're all kind of completely out of sorts, that they're all confused, they're all dazed, they're all almost hallucinating at some points. The Doctor seems to have cut his head, and the crew get very kind of paranoid and suspicious of each other, and the Doctor starts accusing Barbara and Ian of kind of sabotaging the TARDIS so they can get back to their original time of 1963, and Susan goes a bit bananas as well. She gets like the longest pair of scissors I've ever seen, and like threatens to stab I think it's Ian with them. It gets pretty kind of dark, actually. A touch of psycho about it, actually, with like the music as well. And then it turns out that actually in the second episode, the TARDIS is actually kind of doing this stuff it's kind of created this atmosphere within the ship because it wants to warn the crew that they're actually going back to the beginning of the solar system and they're all going to be destroyed. And it's warning the crew that actually the TARDIS has malfunctioned and they need to sort it out. And apparently this switch hasn't kind of gone down properly, and that's caused all kinds of problems. And of course, the Doctor and Barbara actually is key in this. That they begin to sort out what the problem is, and it's all sorted. And we go into Marco Polo at the end. And it's an interesting story. It's like the Doctor again, as in An Unearthly Child and the Daleks. He's not like this kind of good character. There's this like kind of this dark side to him, and you really hear him being kind of paranoid and suspicious in his story, and he kind of drugs the companions, and he kind of really lays into Barbara at one point. And so William Hartnell, again, these kind of darting eyes he has, really, really great actor, I think, William Hartnell in this. And then actually Barbara, Jacqueline Hill, she's fantastic in this as well. The way she kind of defends herself and lays into the Doctor about his unjust words towards her, and of course at the end he's forced to apologise, which is rather touching. But yeah, I think Jacqueline Hill puts in a really strong performance in this. Susan, as in all her stories, looks slightly unhinged. She looks like she's on the verge of doing something really kind of dangerous. She's got that kind of manic glint in her eye all the time, this kind of nervous energy about her. And in this story, she almost does. I think that the fact that she got this big pair of scissors out is going to stab, Ian with this kind of. I think that caused a bit of problem. Some problems at the time, quite understandably. But it's a really fascinating story. I think it's really well acted. It's got some very memorable moments. The Doctor does this soliloquy about the kind of solar system. We see the clocks and all that, and what Ian's watch, and the hands have kind of all melted, and kind of a powerful symbol. We hear the TARDIS warning bells as well, which we hear much later on in Castrovalva, I think it is, with Peter Davison. And it's an intriguing, interesting story, you know, and considering it was just like tossed off as a kind of a bridge between two longer stories, I think it's a real testament to the writing team and the directors and the crew, you know, and the actors as well, to pull this story off. Yes, perhaps it's perhaps not a particularly focused story. You know, it took me a couple of times to really understand what was going on in this story, but you know, it's really quite entertaining and very short, and yeah, that's quite a nice contrast with some of the other stories in season one. Please hang around and watch my simple slideshow about some of the themes in this story and how I view the narrative structure. Thanks for watching. Bye.